Hi, hola, andarki namaskaram. So, to all the DevOps engineers and interns over here, we gonna represent, we gonna represent you the Docker command in this section. So, in let me recap what we learned in the previous tutorials. The first video was for to understand the career path that I told you how to choose the career path in uh, DevOps and how we can succeed in this Docker DevOps and DevOps guideline that was introduced in the first video. Second video was second, third, and fourth and fifth. It was totally on Docker. So I taught you how to make it into the how to make the images from scratch, how to run the container, how to push the container to Docker Hub, and how to troubleshoot the images pushing to the Docker Hub. And in fact, I also taught you about the Git and the GitLab commands and how to troubleshoot like in production free environment that we practice in corporate lives. So today's video is all about for the beginners to use Docker commit command to create images, and but this is not a good practice because it is reproducible and cannot not be used in CI/CD. But still, to understand how the commit ID, Docker commit ID work, and how the Docker save command works, that we're going to discuss. And in real DevOps, we use Dockerfile, and Dockerfile allow us to build step by step using instruction like from run environments, expose CMD, entry points. We can also use from scratch to create minimum and secure image environment variables using create flexible and uh, version control version images. Then we build images using Docker build and run it via Docker run, and this is the correct flow that we hit. But still, in this video, we're gonna drive a little longer with the concepts, and let's see how this plot goes on with the practical things. Let's begin. So let's begin with our let's open Docker lab, DevOps lab that we have. So hope everyone can see it. Docker hyphen version to check. So it is 29.21 version with the commit ID 7187197. So using so let's so now what we are going to learn is to see the easiest way to build an base image to start off by using one of the official images from the Docker Hub. We're gonna take one image from Docker Hub and keep the Docker file for the official builds in the GitHub repositories. So basically, we use official image from Docker Hub to um, to for the security reasons because those are standard 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 ones, and Docker file images are being used for GitHub repositories, so that we have our own requirement can be fulfilled and that we can use it into the projects for that we are dependent on. So there are at least two choices you have for using existing image that others have been already created. By using Dockerfile, you can see exactly what is included in the build and add what you need. You can then version control that Docker file for it if you want to change it later. So let's see what images we have here. ls. Okay. See. So it reminded of. So we have. So there's a difference between Docker images and Docker image ls. So image, when you type ps, images ps. See, nothing is coming up. But when you type a, nothing is coming up. So so these are the two commands to check for depending on the version system you have installed in the Docker. So these are the two commands to check the images. Um, currently, currently there is another way of achieving this. However, it is not recommended or considered to be good practice, and I would strongly discourage you from using it. I would only do this during the prototyping phase to check the commands I'm running work as expected in the interactive section before putting them into a Docker file. So Docker sudo. Always remember we are running it in a sudo command. Docker image pull alpine latest. So it is pulling that right now. So it is very shortest image ever. So it is that is the reason it downloaded very fast. So now Docker container run -it -name alpine test alpine nash bean bean slash sh sudo. We miss sudo. The Docker API. This is the only reason why it failed to start. But let's see. Now let's update this image with our APK update apk upgrade apk add hyphen update nginx rm minus rf slash where slash cache apk slash star mkdir fnp slash temp slash nginx exit. So now we're gonna commit this. We're gonna commit this Docker container commit alpine test breathe to broken container sudo. Okay, it is committed. This is the commit ID. Now save it. fno broken containers dot tar. So notice now that how I can call my image Docker container. I did that has one of the use case for taking this approach is that if for some reason you have a problem with container, it is extremely useful to save the failed container as an image or even export it as a tar file to share with other if you need some assistance in getting to the root cause of a problem. Okay, so mm, what happened? Okay, okay. We're not trying to save the container, we're trying to save the image. Okay, so it is safe now. See, broken container.tar. That with the Dockerfile config file, everything is specified. This is the Nginx configuration. This all. In the Dockerfile you can see everything. 18 directories and 15 files. So this gave me around 6.4 MB file called broken container.tar. While we have this file, you can uncompress it and have a look around. And as you can see from the following structure, the image is made up of the collection of JSON files, folders, and other tar files. All images follow this structure, so you may be thinking to yourself, why is this matter so bad? The biggest reason is trust. As always mentioned, your end user will not be easily see what is the image they are running. And would you randomly download a prepackaged image from an unknown source to run your workload without checking how the image was built? Who knows how it is configured and what package have been installed? Any Another reason is that it is difficult for you to build in a good set of defaults. For example, if you were to build your image this way, then you would not be really be able to take the advantage of features such as entry point and CMD, or even the most basic commands such as expose. Instead, the user would have to be define everything required during the Docker container run command. In the early days, Docker distribution images that have been prepared in this way was common practice. In fact, I was guilty of it myself as coming from an operation background. It made me perfect to sense to launch a machine, bootstrap it, and then create a gold master. Luckily, over the few years, Docker extended the build functionality to the point where this option is not even considered anymore. So let's make a Docker file here, building from scratch. So far, we have been preparing image from Docker Hub as our base image. It is possible to avoid altogether sort of and roll your own image from the scratch. Now, when you usually heard of term scratch, it literally means that you start from nothing, and that's we have here. You get absolutely nothing and have to build upon it. Now this can be benefit because it will keep the image size very small, but it can also be de- like determinable if you are fairly new to Docker, and as it can be complicated 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 also complicated also. Docker has done some of the hard work for us already and created an empty tar file on the Docker hub named Scratch. You can use it from section from your Docker file. Can you can base your entire Docker build on this done and add parts as needed. Again, let's look at Alpine Nginx as our base operating system for the image. One of the reasons why we would want to do this, that in not only distributed as an as ISO Docker image or the virtual machine image, that entire operating system is available as a tar file. You can find the download in the repository on the Alpine or on the Alpine Nginx download page. Just select the appropriate download one available mini root file, as in you can go to www.alpinelinux.org download. Let's make a Docker file now. We're gonna use Scratch word here, as I mentioned. So I'm building in Docker image now. I'm tagging the image from Scratch. Okay. I'm trying to troubleshoot them because this is something which I am doing practically in front of you. Uh, so I feel um, I really apologize that due to some issues I need to go out of it, but I make sure that you understand why we are doing this. So I want to make you understand that is the reason I want to make you understand that if you gonna work with commit and save, such issues might come, and you take lot of hard decision to resolve it, and this may take hours and hours to resolve such issues in productions. So this is not recommended. That is the reason why I said in earlier position that this is not recommended at all to do in production, because it might cause some issues and your managers, your team leads will not allow it to do, because it's not unsafe part to do, to commit and save and then push the image to Docker Hub, and then you need to retrieve it back again, use it, and this is not a safe part to do. So hence proved. Thank you for watching my show. Thank you for being with me here. Thank you.